All right. Looks like we're working. All right, so PDF number 9 seems like a little bit of an interesting one. So far, witness statements have been interesting, been kind of all over the place. Some back up the narrative, some don't. Let's see, what is this? Alsbury, I believe, was yesterday. Shannon Alsbury, yeah. And this was done 7th of October. I don't remember what timeline we were working off of on the 7th of October. I'm not sure if the 25th came into play yet or not. I think we're still running off the 9:59 timeline on Campos. Can't fucking remember. But anyway, let's see who we got here. No, Detective Hodson again. This guy seems to be doing a lot of the more important ones. This was 10/10. All right, so this is after all that. Tape statement. Let's see. Tape statement going to be conducted October 10th, 9 in the morning, inside Vidara. Oh, that's right. This is the Vidara one. Let's see. FBI agent Garrett McCamey was unable to attend. What? Well, as a summary, also who else should be involved in the interview would be Agent McCamey, who was unable to attend. Oh, okay. Well, who cares? Let's see. Mr. Blah, blah, blah. I know we just discussed prior to recording. Can you go ahead and just give me your date of birth again? I don't know why they had to mention that McCamey should have been there. That's weird. Whatever. Okay, you're currently employed Manly Bay. Redacted job title. I don't know. Probably going to figure out what that is throughout this fucking madness. So I don't know why they redacted that. Okay, you were currently working October 1st, 2017. Yes. Okay, what hours were you working that night? 3 to 11 p.m. Swing shift. Okay, so 3 to 11. That sounds like a standard shift. So Campbell said that was last room of the night, 10 o'clock, which means he is probably getting off work at 11 o'clock. It means he probably has some stuff he has to do at the end of the shift. And after he's going to check those doors, which may have been an indication of why it took him so goddamn long to get up to the 32nd floor, because the guy ain't no hurry. Wants that to be it. Wants that to be the last of the things he has to do. But anyway, that's speculation. Okay. And during the course of that shift, what else were your duties for the day? See that 11 p.m. thing? I mean, I read that before, but I mean, I always kind of argued that they may have separating shifts. They may have some guys come on at 10 and all that sort of stuff. Got confusing for a while. But yeah, so I'm guessing 3 to 11 is probably a standard shift for these guys. They probably bleed over, have a guy come in at 10 o'clock. See, 3 to 11, that is, it's 8 hours. So they get a half-hour break. Most likely, that's what the other guy says too. Yeah, they get a half-hour breaks, half-hour lunch breaks, probably 15-minute breaks. All right, so that's interesting. That's interesting because you would think there would be some bleed over. There might be. I don't know how that works because you would think somebody would come in at 10 o'clock to relieve the guys at 11 o'clock, but that would throw things into flux a little bit because the 10 o'clock would be till 6 in the morning, and then you would have 6 in the morning to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so you wouldn't have a bleed over there. You'd have an issue. But I don't know how they do it. Let's see. Why is my mouth off? No, my mouth is off. It would be straight to 3. Well, no, if you did 10 o'clock, yeah, the bleed over would cause a discrepancy, but it would be 3 8 hour shifts, which is pretty fucking normal, I guess. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's a little strange. Anyway, like I said, they probably have people that work from 10 o'clock, 6 o'clock, then they have people who work from 11 to 7. That's most likely what's happening here. Okay, during the course of the shift, what are your duties for the day? My position is actually the hot sauce position as security dispatcher. You want me to elaborate on hot sauce? Absolutely, if you could. So, hot sauce is a system that comes up on the computer if a door is ajar from a hotel guest room. Some officers actually call the guests and notify them. This is a security dispatch, you know. I just want to let you know your door's ajar. Can you please check it? A lot of times the latch doesn't click. You can't push on it. If no one actually answers the call, then we'll send an officer to respond to that room, make sure that door is secured. All right. Let's see. Did you have any of those calls that night? Yes, a lot. Okay. And specifically, how long? What's the time frame on when the door is left ajar to dispatch center is notified? See, what he just said is interesting. And we'll see if he just explains it later because I'm tired of explaining things in my head and then going through later and seeing that they actually explain the rationale behind it. Let's see. I'm not really sure because I've been told various things. I don't know actually the timeline when the door's ajar to when it actually opens up on our system because that's internal. I wouldn't know that information. The door's ajar when it actually pops up. What, really? That's internal, huh? So they don't have a way to. Oh man, God damn it, Hunter. This shit you need to fucking deal with. Let's see. I don't actually know. Time when the door is ajar to when it actually pops up on our system. Well, we're seeing that it's about 50 minutes, I believe, with the breach timing, but I don't know. I would think there'd be a way to manually set that, but maybe they don't trust these guys with that. That maybe that's the IT people that do that. Okay, so unknown on usually how long, whether it's just a few seconds or if it's past several minutes. It's definitely not gonna be a few seconds. You dumb shit. Everybody leaves their door open for a few seconds. Um, yeah, I've heard ranging from 5 minutes to up to an hour. But I mean, that's what I've been told. Okay, and typically on those, if a guest doesn't answer the phone and you send an officer up, is that officer armed or unarmed? Mostly it's hotel units, so they're going to be unarmed officers. Okay, and so you send those units up, and then typically what do they do upon going up there to investigate that? Depending on the door, if the door has, I guess, the night latch out, they'll usually knock on it, announce themselves, and that they're security. If someone comes, they'll just let them know. Just want to make sure you know your door's ajar. If not, then usually they'll just pull on the door, make sure that it clicks. A lot of times you can hear the clicking sound. That'd be creepy. Sleep in the middle of the night, you hear that click on your door. Okay, and then what do they do from there? Like, how does is there you guys track how that's closed out, or is there a report that's generated for it? Well, all shifts kind of do it differently. So there's that's a pain in the ass. On swing shift, we actually ask the officers to give us an update on each door. Really. So, what he's saying here. Let me take myself off this screen. The hell am I leaving myself on there for? All right. So what he's saying here is they're kind of loose with the rules on this. There ain't no set of rules for this. They just kind of do what they think is right. kind of tells me hot sauce not a big fucking deal. Nobody really gives a shit about it. Um, because otherwise, you would think the hotel would be a little more strict as far as how it works, how the operation of all this works. But they're not. They just don't give a fuck. You just figure it out on your own. Let's see. I know on other shifts they'll say, it's taken care of, all the rooms are secured, or whether I'm done, give me the next batch of hot sauce. So the other thing he's saying is on swing shift, we actually asked the officers to give us an update on each door. Uh, did Campbell's do that? Did he actually do that? Did he call downstairs and say, "Yeah, I got this door, I got this door, I got this"? Were they talking to him the whole time? Because because what that would imply is that when he checked on 129, he should have called downstairs and said, "Hey, 129's good. 32129 is good," which means there would have been a call right before the call in the stairwell. Of course, he could have said, "Well, I'll do it after I do this, after I check stairwell." So I guess it's irrelevant. But again, it's interesting. And that means this guy would know uh, what Campos's activity was that night, as far as which floors he did in which order and all that sort of stuff. Of course, give us an update in each door doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to call after each single door. He could be one of those things where he calls in at the end. Yeah, I got them all closed. I don't know. Let's see. I know on other shifts they'll say, and this guy could be bullshitting because he's talking to a cop here, and there's a lot of liability involved in this, and this is security, so he could be full of shit too. So I know on other shifts they'll just say, it's taken care of, all the rooms are secured, or whether I'm done, give me the next batch of hot sauce. Okay, so that's what we just described. So he's insinuating that Campos should have called with every fucking door. I know Graveyard does that a lot. For swing shift, we actually ask the officers if the security officer closed it, if the door is already locked or closed, or if the guest closed it or the guest wants it open. Okay. Let's see. On night of the first, my understanding is Jesus Campos was sent up to do several hot sauce checks. Yes, is that correct? Correct. Okay. Was he dispatched to those through you, or was he dispatched by another person? To my recollection, I get a log entry ready with the hot sauce rooms, and then I believe I'm the one that sent it out over the radio saying for him to call us to 1021 dispatch, pretty much to retrieve those because it was multiple rooms. So instead of tying up radio traffic, I told him to contact us so he can do it via the phone. Okay, you recall doing that with him? I don't believe I actually gave him, when he called, those hot sauce rooms. I don't recall, but I don't believe I actually gave him those rooms. Okay, I did the log entry, the initial one. So you took care of the log entry, yeah. And then I told him to call dispatch. Okay. And do you recall what time, specifically on the 32nd floor, room 129? Do you remember that dispatch? As in the log entry, as far as when the alarm. Like when I'm going through hot sauce, I don't really look at the actual rooms because they're just flowing in. Yeah, I wouldn't expect them to. I know because I guess I recall 3 days after the fact that I was the guy that sent him there. So I did pull up the log entry to review it. I guess just to make sure that I actually was the one that created it. I guess for my own personal peace of mind or whatever you want to call it. You know what, dude? I'm gonna change this out real quick because my phone's tripping out on this. All right. Okay, so look at the log entry. I recall it from the time period. So what I did was the last officer that comes back from lunch is usually 9:30. Now that's a weird time for lunch, man. When you get off at 11, but I guess yeah, it kind of makes sense. You got to do. It's going to be. I mean, I don't know how many guards they have doing this. If they have like a relief guard or something like that, but you're going to have 8 to 8:30, 8:30 to 9, and then 9 to 9:30. So you always have two on, one off. But that's probably what's going on there. So it sounds like Campbell's got the shitty break. So I believe I made it so what I go through is pretty much getting most of the time there's 3 officers in Manly Bay Tower. There's 2 officers in Delano. Okay, so Delano, the top floor, is the last one to get back from lunch. So I think it was like approximately 9:15ish or so. I started creating log entries, just getting those ready for all the officers. All right, so while these people are on lunch, he doesn't give a shit. He's just looking at a list saying, okay, this guy's on lunch and this guy's on lunch, whatever. And he starts setting this up a few minutes before they come back. That way, as soon as they come back, they have it. I'm good so far. And so a lot of officers, they actually clear out the hot sauce around 9:30 or 10 o'clock because 10 o'clock is kind of the shift change, right? So since 10 o'clock shift change, yeah, that tells me that there are some people that come in at 10, which, like I said, kind of throws, I don't know, throws things into flux a little bit, but honestly, they can make it work if they just have a couple guys come in at 10, a couple guys come in at 11, whatever. Let's see. A lot of officers actually just clear it out, not even send them out. Ooh, shouldn't be saying that shit. I'm actually one of the few that I guess do the last run around. I try to do it like around 10 o'clock or so. Let's see, just clear it out, not even send them out. That's fucked up. Let's see. So when the next shift gets on, they don't have the whole list that they're getting into or getting to. So I was creating all those and I was waiting for the last officer. Okay, so I think what he's saying there, he's not saying they just like clear out all the hot sauces and say, fuck them, we're not checking these. I think what he's saying is all the ones that have been done and all the ones that have been given out, he clears those out, is what it sounds like. Let's see. So I was creating all those. I was waiting for the last officer to get back from lunch. So what I do is, I guess, habit, OCD, whatever you want to call it. There's a button at the top where I actually hit, and it's a now button. So it timestamps it now whenever I send that call out or I call on the radio for them to call. All right. With you so far. Okay, because we all have... they all have a pipe run or a pro track. So for them, I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that is. So for them to try and keep that, I guess, in sync for management, I guess I just get into the habit of doing that. So usually before when I do that, I go through all the entries and get time now. Okay, so you create a timestamp essentially when that's and that's for the dispatch, right? That's for them to go check it. Correct. That well, when I send out the call for that officer to call down to dispatch. All right. So talk about the log entry here. So saying that the log entry that they have on file, whatever it happens to be, which is not the 9:59, it's the I forget what time it was, 9:11 or some shit like that. I think it was like 9:11, 9:07, some weird shit like that. That is the time that this dude put that timestamp on it, I think is what they're getting to. So I went back in, hit it now, and it created a new timestamp. Not sure what time that was. I know it was later because it was after 9:30, waiting for the officer to call back. So that I do is I ask for one tower to call. So it was 3 people calling at one time, and then 2 people calling. So we're not inundated with a whole bunch of calls at once. Sorry to get a little lost here. Okay. Okay. So on that night, do you know approximately within what time frame, how many rooms Campos was sent to check for a hot sauce? I want to say it was approximately 5 or so. It was 5 or 6 around there. I know it was more than definitely more than 3 or 4. Okay, and so he's sent to check on those. Now, when you send them on those, do you close? Do you wait for him to report back in each individual room before you close those out, or do you guys just close them out once you know that you sent the officer up to the tower? How does that normally work? No, we actually get we have them go do all those rooms at once, because then initially they're off the pipe. Um, they don't have the pipe buttons because they're actually doing a job function. What the fuck? The fuck are they saying, dude? Um, okay, so once they're completed, all those rooms, then they call back and let us know what the results were on those rooms. All right. Okay, so they do all the rooms and then call back. All right, so that makes sense. Okay, and then do you enter some type of like status or synopsis or what? Yeah, most officers do on swing shift. It's either, I believe, abbreviation SEC for security. So security closed that door. The door was already closed. We put closed. Guest wants open. So GWO, or housekeeping. I think it's HSK or something like that. So do you know approximately what time Campos may have been on the 32nd floor to check that door? Let's see. And they didn't say what the abbreviation was for that particular door. Personally, no. Some officers, they go by the list that was given. Some officers, depending where they're at, they'll jump around. How we give them the numbers, just depending on the officer and where they're at on the floors. Okay, and so based off of kind of the knowledge you've probably gained from, hearing things in the media and maybe talking with Campos individually, do you know the time frame that he got up to the floor approximately? Well, looking at the log entry when it was closed, because we also have a timestamp when it's closed. I believe that was around 59. So that officer gets the phone call. They're doing the entry into, and then they could answer the phone or something else, and then then some hit the timestamp, some don't. All right, so what's he saying here? So officer gets a phone call. They're doing the entry into, and they could answer the phone or something else, and then hit the timestamp. Some don't. Oh shit! I'm not sure exactly what he's saying there, but 9:59. There's our 9:59 time. Okay. So the timestamp was hit, and then stating close. Yes. Oh, okay. So do you recall what time that might have been? Just reviewing the entry, I think it was around 59 or so. What entry were you reviewing? The hot sauce entry. For, do you know what room? It was for multiple rooms. Log entry was, this is on iTrack. Okay. Let's see. I forgot to have him look at a document here. Do you recognize this form? I've never seen this form, but just by glancing at it, it appears to be the hot sauce format. All right. Okay. I want that. I want that. What the fuck? They have the fucking hot sauce for that fucking room. Okay. And so on that, I've highlighted an area. So the reason my questioning is, from what I gather by looking at the document, it appears to me that the for room 129 looks like it looks at 9:18 hours. Correct. It was closed out. Correct. As states in there, that security officer checked the door and it was closed. So what we're trying to line up is the time frame stuff. So per this document, and is that your entry is that normally how you would enter stuff is that with okay. This would be my login appears on the hot sauce that appears on the hot sauce system. Okay. And so does the highlighted part, does that look similar to what you would may have entered on the entry? That information is actually pre-generated through hot sauce. Okay. So I'm guessing not talking about his entry. So I did the one above it. That's my actual entry into. So the one above the highlighted at I guess 9:18 p.m. Says security secured or SEC closed the door. So what I do, there's different drop downs. So either if I called the room, guest is there. I usually just put the guest closed door because they're aware of it. Guest wants it open. I put that. Housekeeping. I put that. Then when I actually dispatch hot sauce out and I'm giving it to an officer, then I clear it out just overall that security is securing the door because we're sending an officer up there for that, pretty much for him to check. So he just like, that's why it's confusing, man, because he said he doesn't do that. He says he waits for them all to call down and then he does that. But now he's saying that he's being lazy with it. So that's where this shit gets a little crazy. So here he's saying he clears it out as he gives them out, which is probably true with the 918 timeline. But that's not what he said earlier. So that's the issue. Okay. So either way, security's going to go check the room. So this would be then based off this time framing here. Does this sound familiar to you? The time that you would have given him, however many number of dispatches through hot sauce to go check rooms? No. So when hot sauce is going up, we pretty much have a time frame of, I guess, an hour. This is where it gets kind of interesting. He notifies some assistant manager. Okay, I guess an hour. He notifies some assistant managers depending on how their phone is set up with hot sauce. If it hits 2 hours, then it hits all assistant managers. If it's 3, then it's the higher ups that actually receive an email saying, "Hey, there's been a door ajar for approximately 3 hours." So usually on the hour mark, I like to at least clear out my board. Okay, so that's the biggest part of this here, because basically you're in a race for time on that hour. You don't want, and you got guys going on breaks for half an hour at a time. You don't know if they're going to stretch their breaks out. You don't know if they're going to go to their breaks early. You don't know how long it's going to take them to do all 5 of those rooms that you just handed them throughout their break. Maybe it's even more than that. So you don't want to wait for them to call back down to close them out. So what you're doing is you're racing that clock. You don't want that hour to hit because you don't want to get that phone call asking what the fuck's going on up there and why aren't you doing your job. So they close it out, so generally it sounds like, basically this guy probably waits up until sends them out and then just shuts them out. That way he doesn't have to worry about anybody calling, and as long as he's doing his job at least once every hour, he's good. Okay. And I guess I don't want to say stack, but pretty much make log entries with the numbers in them, and then if there's any more of that come up within the time frame, I add them in, and then later I send them out. So like this guy's contradicting himself. It sounds like at one point he's going through the procedure as he sees, as he thinks he should be doing it. He's going through the procedure as I don't even know how to say it. but he's going through the procedures that he should be following, that he thinks that are correct, and then he's going through the procedures that he actually does, but he's not making a differential on what he does versus until this cop started questioning him, like, hey, this doesn't fucking add up. What you're saying is kind of bullshit. But he's saying it in a nice way. So it sounds like this guy, he's saying that they're supposed to wait for the cop or for the officer, the security guy, Campos, basically, to call back after all 5 of them are done and say what happened with all 5 of them. This one was it was already closed. This one I had to close. This one the people came out and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" I said, "Your door's open," stuff like that. And he's saying that that is normally how it would be done, but he's saying now that that's not how he does it. He basically sends them out to Campos and then shuts them the fuck out, and that's why we have a discrepancy here. And the cop caught that. So this Hodson's actually fairly sharp. Okay. So when do you think? Let's see. What I'm trying to nail down here is I know that Campos on the floor at approximately say 10 o'clock, and that within that few minute time frame, we know he goes check on 129, and then we also know that during the course of that next few minutes, there while he's checking on that door, he hears some suspicious sounds coming from the end of the room. From the end room. He makes a phone call, and then he's ultimately shot at by the suspect. Does that sound correct? Yes. Okay, so what we're trying to figure out is just in, don't get me wrong, no one's in trouble here, because you're not doing your job the way you're saying you do. Let's see, we're just trying to create a timeline of when he would have been dispatched to go up through the towers, and to when do we think he was on the floor, and then did he respond back through dispatch, say, hey, do you recall if he called back down and said, hey, I'm at the room, I've closed the door, and then what may have happened, what may have said from that point on? Jesus God, these guys. Let's see, I know that in the iTrack entry, I know there's a timestamp where I stamped it. That's not the 918. I believe, like around that time is when I created the initial log. So every time you create a new log, it's with the timestamp of the creation of that log. Okay. And then up above, I did a timestamp of like time now. And that's when I had him 1021 or call dispatch. Okay. 1021. Okay. To receive the hot sauce. What, 1021? No. And when do you think? 1021. Oh, that's their code. That's not time. Okay. And when do you think that actual time was, to the best of your knowledge? I know it was after 9:30, 9:35 or so, or approximately around them. Okay, so basically from 9:35 on till time he shot, he's out checking. Correct. He's doing multiple doors. Yeah, multiple doors. Okay, so 9:35. That fits a little bit better than this whatever fucking 910 bullshit. Let's see. Okay, so when he goes up there, and yeah, and so he said he got off lunch at 9:30, so he set this up while Campos was on lunch, so that when he got back from lunch, he had 5 of them to check. All right, so that makes sense. I think that's what he's saying here. Okay. So when he goes up there, he had been radioing back on each door that he was checking, or as he was going through his list. No, he did the whole list, and then he actually called. So when there's that many hot sauce, we tell the officers, don't tie up radio traffic, just use the phone. Okay. So when he was completed all those rooms, he called down. I believe he spoke to Redacted. Okay, who's dispatcher you spoke to? Or so that's the dispatcher you spoke to. Correct. Okay, 4 on the house phone. I'm not sure of. It's going to be the house phone, yes, or he. But the one in the stairwell, he could have used his cell phone. Okay. Some officers use a cell phone, some use the house phone. I'm not sure on how he contacted dispatch at that time. Okay, so when this entry is created, is it considered closed out at this point? Like essentially that in the hot sauce system, yes. Okay, so essentially closed out because standard operating procedure at this point is we've never had one for hot sauce. There's the there's the big thing. There is no standard operating procedure for hot sauce. Nobody gives a shit. They just do it however they want to do it. As long as nobody's calling them saying, why are these doors staying open? And it looks like they're doing their job. So, fuck you, figure it out. But if it goes past an hour, somebody's going to be calling your ass, asking you why you're not doing your job. Okay, so let's see. So, room's closed, security guard's gone. So normally we don't have an issue, right? Yeah. Normally it's just closed. Yeah. Either he's checking it, and then if you find something else out of place, then does that system get updated later on? How does it typically work? Usually it's like I said, when I'm doing a hot sauce, if the officer is being called on those rooms, then I automatically just do a drop down saying that the security check secured the door. See, he's not asking about that, but I mean, he doesn't. They don't probably have a thing for incidences to log into the hot sauce. Probably not meant for that. I don't know, because the last one I think said there was. They put a hot sauce entry in for something else. Allsbury. They put a hot sauce entry in for something about the door in the stairwell having the bracket. Do not use. Something like that. Let's see, because I know that officers are going up there to check that door, and then in the log entries, when it's updated with what the door was actually done, what the door is actually, so the door is doing shit now. Ah, jeez. Let's see. I don't know a lot of people that actually go back into the system to update those numbers because once you put this information in, either if it's housekeeping, security, etc., then you have to do another drop down where you complete the room. So then once that's complete, then it's I don't know the system that well. Great. So I had a fucking new guy on this thing. So it's difficult to go back in to try to actually find the room to update it with whatever the officer said when he called back. Yeah. All right. So, like I said, this guy's make it sound like he just don't give a shit. The hot sauce isn't a big deal to him. Okay. So this is par for the course. Usually, I mean, it's we created the call. We've got a log going. I'm sending the guy up there. He's gonna go check those rooms, and then he's gonna radio down when it's all said and done. But essentially, for the system purposes, it's handled. That's standard. Yes, it's not what you said earlier. Okay, all right. So, were you privy to any radio traffic, or did you hear the radio traffic from Campos when he radioed down that there was a problem up there, or when he made the phone call? Do you know what the context of the call was to the supervisor? I forget what her. I think it's a her. Um, what he was hearing, or let's see. I believe he called blah blah blah. What it redacted just to clear out his hot sauce. Okay, so if he called somebody to clear out his hot sauce, that means there was a call before or separate from the call about the bracket. Anyway, then I don't recall any radio traffic, and our radios are horrible. It could be been static, but I don't because I would have picked up on if he said shots fired or something like that. It's working there for the length I have. It's one of those things you're gonna notice. I believe if you worked there that long, why are you so bad at your fucking job, dude? what the hell? I believe I was on the phone with Officer Redacted. He was sitting catty corner to me. Okay. So he's in the front, Redacted in front of me on tack 1. So he had his main job be the tack or the main radio. Okay. And what's the name of that? Whatever. And then I have a radio right behind him, so I'm his backup. 2, so if he's on the phone or doing something, then I cover him for the radio traffic. And then the guy in the back also covers the South Convention Center, and they're on a separate channel. That's interesting. Let's see. When I was on the phone, I remember hearing Redacted say, "What do you mean you're shot?" Okay. And then he said, "You're." Then I remember he said, "You're bleeding." And then I think he said like something, "Are you serious right now?" And then at that time, when he looked over at Redacted and told him what the call was, that I'm guessing Campos was shot or hit by a BB or pellet gun. That he was on the 32nd floor, and so he turned to told him that information. Usually when there's a high priority call like heart attack, somebody getting shot or something like that, a high priority call, we usually don't make the log entries right away. Let's see, because we're just trying to get information dispatched out to get, units responding. And then we'll go back and create the log entry with the information. And then I remember Redacted saying, armed officers only. I'm guessing is he saying Tony? Is that what Anthony Sottle is? Because I'm guessing Sottle would have been the one. But no, this is one of the guys in the room, so it probably wasn't Sottle. I don't know who he's talking about. Let's see, he put that over the radio. Armed officers only, please respond to the floor. I don't remember hearing that, but let's see, for a possible shot from a BB or pellet gun. I don't remember hearing that on the radio. Maybe wrong. So that happens. Does anyone from your section make call into 911 at this point? No, that would not at that point. Okay. I did call 911 once. We were, I guess, on the floor when we had managers and officers on the floor, and it was confirmed that it was an active shooter. Okay. So I started yelling, "We need a room number, get a room number." And because I just didn't want to call dispatch, 911 dispatch, without, actual information to give them, instead of, it's on the 32nd floor, 100 wings. So I'm yelling at the guys, get a room number. So then that's when the 32135 came out, and it was said multiple times in the room, just confirm that room number. Okay. In that process, I remember receiving or hearing hearing other people receiving calls. I received a call that there was a possible active shooter across the street at the fairgrounds. All right. Okay. Okay. So there's the call of the shooter across the street. Then that's where that generated from, right? I received a call that there was a possible. Okay. All right. So that makes sense. That makes a little bit of sense on that. I told the caller, "Thank you for the information. Do you have any more information? We're aware of the situation." We don't have a time frame on that, though. That's kind of a problem, because according to the bike officer, man, he heard that pretty much right away. And that was from an employee, or was that from? Oh, shit! I didn't realize this was in here. Fuck, I didn't read this too closely. I'm not sure. It was just somebody called. I answered the phone. Damn it! I wanted to know that. Was it through like house phone, like specific to the house phone, or it was dispatch phone? Someone called into dispatch. Okay. So I just happened to pick up that phone. I don't know who it was. This same time you're trying to get a call out to Metro Dispatch. No, I've yet to call Metro Dispatch. Okay. Oof, there's a problem. This is the time frame where managers, armed officers were responding to that floor. Okay. So they're on their way up. And you're getting phone calls. There's a problem across the street. Yep. So I grab the camera, try to see if I can see like any flashes, like muzzle flashes or anything. And then I see multiple officers, when I'm moving the camera around. Okay. And so once the lights hit the cameras, it's hard to see anything. So I kind of let go. Then I believe someone stated that the bellman called in the bell desk stating that there was glass falling. Okay. And then and we don't have a time frame on that. And then once I got received the number that manager's on the floor, then that's when I called 911. All right. Received the number that manager's on the floor. That sentence doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'm guessing he's saying when I got the number from the room number from the managers on the floor, that's when I called 911. I told everyone I was calling 911, so no one else did. We had already called AMR at that time. Not sure what AMR is. Yeah, I'm not sure what AMR is. Okay, for the officer, because we knew he was bleeding. Oh, rescue, whatever. Ambulance. What? Ambulance, medical rescue, something like that. I don't know. For the officer, because he knew he was bleeding. So that was the same time that managers and armed officers were going up. So we placed that call to AMR around that time because we knew he was bleeding. Okay, that was direct call to AMR, or that was just through the Metro Dispatch, or no, that was direct call. We have a hotline in there that goes straight to Convention Center Fire Department Dispatch. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. So, what do you think in your own mind? Like, I know it's hard. It's hard to gauge sometimes, but what do you think the time frame was from the time that Campos is radioing down that he's been shot to the actual time we get a call out to Metro Dispatch? I couldn't even tell you because the adrenaline was running so fast. I know I had to stay on hold. It did do the loop several times to get through 911. So I was just waiting because it looped a couple times through the automated, the Spanish and the English going back and forth, saying, please hold for the next dispatcher. I'd say probably a few minutes. Okay, somewhere from. I mean, it seems like, longer than that, but, yeah, it probably seemed like an eternity, I'm sure. Yeah, and, just trying to get the call in. So what do you think of reality? Maybe 2 to 5 minutes. Do you think longer than that? Yeah, approximately 2 to 5 minutes. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Just to recap what we got. So you run to the hot sauce system. You get multiple hits for different rooms. You're trying to close those out before the shift change, before 10 o'clock. Jesus is dispatched on 5 to 6 of these events, which is typical operating procedure up on this. He goes up, he's checking several rooms. Obviously, the last one we know that he checks is going to be 32129. He makes the phone call to whoever out of your office to inform her that, hey, oh yeah, I don't remember her name. I know her name's floating around out there. I just don't remember it. Let's see, I've got the door closed. And then whatever else he reports to her at that point, do you know if he reported anything else suspicious? Not at that time. Okay. And then so somewhere within those, I don't know if it's a few minutes or less, he's reporting that he struck by gunfire. Correct. So you're aware of that information. You're sending armed units up to the floor to check. At this point, we're thinking only a pellet or BB gun wound at this time. You guys make call to AMR, and that is based off fact that at this time, you guys were only thinking it's just airsoft or it's pellet gun type. Yeah, we knew he stated he was bleeding from the leg. So usually we wait to officers 2 officers are on scene. We wait 4 officers to get on the scene, I'm guessing, to evaluate the situation. But since it was one of our officers, we went ahead and called AMR because he stated he was bleeding at the time. Okay, and he was struck by a BB or pellet gun. So we knew it was, I guess, more of a time-sensitive call. Okay, so we went ahead and just made that call ourselves, and dispatched to roll AMR. And then once armed officers arrive on the scene, we're starting to get more intel that this is active. It's an actual active shooter, not just a random pellet gun. Correct. I believe it was that did the dispatch at the time. It was pretty much a given that we were on emergency traffic. Okay. 1033 traffic, that we call it. So the radios were very silent. Okay. He came up and pretty much said, break. We do have an active shooter or something along those lines. Okay. And then I remember when I was on the phone with Metro Dispatch, I actually, when he called in that there's an active shooter, you could actually hear the sounds of like machine gun or something. Okay. All right. What's going on here? Then I remember when I was on the phone with Metro Dispatch, when he called in that there's an active shooter, you could. So, what is he saying here? Because this is a broken sentence. It don't make sense. Actually, when he called in that there's an active shooter, okay. When he called in that there's an active shooter, you could actually hear the sound of like machine gun or something. Okay. I remember when I was on it. Okay, so I don't know why this is all one thing here. When I was on the phone with Metro Dispatch, but then he's saying when he called in, I don't know. Okay, so you could actually hear gunfire here. Yeah. Okay. You could hear it on the phone, not with Metro Dispatch though. You wouldn't hear it with Metro Dispatch. So that's what's weird about this. We all knew that it was real. Hey, how you doing? Let's see. We could hear that over the radio when he said, break. There's an active shooter. Rapid fire. And then when I was on the phone with Metro Dispatch, they asked me, is he still firing? So I did a break to redacted and to ask him, is there a person still firing? And he said negative. There's been about 10 to 30 second delay, or no shots fired at the time. Okay, and then did they ever report again they heard shots starting again, or no? I don't believe so. Okay, so this is after the shooting. Okay, perfect. I have a question. Yes, if I can. So when guessing Jesus calls, is he calling on his cell phone or is he on the radio saying that he had been shot with a pellet gun? He just said he doesn't fucking know. Do you know when he's shot in the leg? Oh, when he was shot. Yeah. Do you know how he calls too? Yeah, he called because I believe I was told that he tried to transmit. Okay. Oh, he does know. Huh. I say he didn't fucking know. But we heard nothing over the radio. So he calls on his cell phone. He called on his cell phone, and that's when whatever that girl's name, I don't remember her name, took that call. Okay, and that's when I heard him say, what do you mean you're shot? Oh, no, it was a guy that answered. Oh, it's all confusing. And you're bleeding. All the redactions are confusing. So he, from what this person redacted, he tried to get over the radio. Oh, Jesus tried to get over the radio. Yeah. Couldn't get it out. Correct. Makes a phone call on the cell phone. Okay. Have you seen his cell phone? Do you know what time that was? No. Well, they know what time it was. They know exactly what time it was. That's interesting. That's actually a factor here. Let's see. Okay, and does he call? He calls the main 77, 989 number. Some of those, some one of those numbers. Okay. Yeah, since he's an officer, all of us have, right, speed dispatch phone on your speed dial, right? Yeah, yeah, okay. Is there anything else you think that you can recall or might be vital to this investigation from your aspects? To finish it off, it's when I called, finally got a hold of Metro Dispatch, I identified myself and who I was, and she stated, "You're my main contact. Please do not hang up this phone." And then so I stayed on the phone relaying the information that I knew. It wasn't much because the person was in the room. So they're asking how many shooters, how many people. I said unknown, unknown. And then I don't know how long it was. They first uh, they first response, I guess active shooter team is running down the hall. Then I see them on camera banging on our door. Oh, okay. Run down the hall towards their door, not the hall 135, because that would be a whole different ball game. That would be a game changer. Let's see. Let's see. So let's see. I see them on camera banging on our door, and then they come in, and then I see whatever officer had the most stripes. So I knew he was in charge. So I asked him, "What do you guys know of right now?" And he said, "We're blind. We don't know anything. Our radios don't work here, down here." And then that's when I said, "Would you like to speak to your dispatch?" And he said 911. I said yes. I handed him the phone at that point, and that's when he took over 911 dispatch call. I believe we heard a 911 dispatch call from one of the cops, but I don't know if it's that one. Okay, and were you able to inform them? See, I don't even know if we have this conversation, man, because it sounds like this guy was on the phone with them for a long ass time. I don't think we have that one. Okay, and were you able to inform them at that time that you guys believe the shooter was on 32nd floor, or did that information get passed to them? I gave that information immediately when I spoke to Metro Dispatch. I said, we have confirmation that's coming from this room. Okay. And one of our officers has been hit. Okay. And then from that, what transpires as that two shooter team takes a phone call, or what transpires? Okay, it's a question. So he takes a phone call, he identifies himself, his P number, his name, and then he's actually kind of in front of me. So I don't know what's going on. We have there, I think there was a team of about five or so tactical gear, coming in. There, I know their adrenaline was running. I told them to calm down because when they came in, they seemed like they were getting ready to kick down a door. I know their adrenaline was hot and all that. It's like we still have a job to do in that room. So I told them, hey, there's no one in here. Calm down. Like, what do you guys know? Uh, I don't know what transpires with the communications between him and dispatch because he was in front of me. And at that point, I felt kind of useless because my main job in there is answering phones, and he has my main line. So, so this guy's a phone jockey. Let's see. So phone calls, of course, are pouring in. I've never seen all the phone lines lit up like that ever. Being down there because it was every single one. I don't know how many, like 15 lines we have or so, or 10 to 15 lines, and they never go on hold. If we can't get to the call, then it will bounce to another number that's in dispatch, and all those lines were lit up. So that explains why nobody could call down to the front desk because the cops took the fucking phone and wouldn't answer any of the fucking numbers. So, yeah, if you were in a room that night, good luck getting a hold of anybody. That's why the motherfucker called the Luxor and said, hey, there's a shooting over here. Okay, so after he takes a phone call, they leave the room at some point, or no. Team, I believe, stayed there for the rest of the night, or for most of the night, just relaying information that we were getting in. Okay, so they acted as communications basically. Okay. And so at what point are you relieved, or do you go home after the incident? I actually clocked out around 8 o'clock in the morning. Fuck, dude, this guy's shift was supposed to end at 11. He did an extra 9 hours. Um, I called my manager. He wanted me to leave at 7:45. An FBI agent wanted me to pull video coverage. Okay. So this guy knows quite a bit. And so I knew the vehicle I was looking for, the information. I guess I was looking for at the time. Day shift was coming in to relieve us. I contacted him and told him that I need to finish off at least the time frames to pull the video coverage, because I know what I'm looking for. I don't want to pass it off to another officer. It's just coming in blind. So he wasn't too happy with that. I said, I can pass you to the FBI agent next to me. He said, it's fine. How many times? He doesn't want to pay the fucking overtime, dude, because I don't know what the laws are out there, but after fucking 18 hours or 16 hours, it probably goes into serious, like, OSHA. Well, I mean, OSHA's, I don't know. I don't know who's going to control that, but the labor board's going to be bouncing on their head if they do something stupid like that. Let's see. How much longer do you need? I need about 15 minutes. So I finished off the time periods so he could pull the video coverage for the time spans of multiple cameras and locations. So around 8 o'clock, call him back saying, hey, clock me out. I'm going home. I would say maybe a few minutes later, I'm still in the room, and the same FBI agent comes in and just points at me and says, hey, you're with me. Let's go. You're fucked. So at that time, I was with, I believe it's assistant manager. That'd be interesting to have that name. So him and I, FBI agent, and I believe Metro officer, we escorted them down to the bell desk because I informed them that the male in the vehicle that we were in question used a bell card. Um, there was a bellman that they would have a manifest of how many bags, because that's what they were looking for. All right. Huh. So they were looking for a manifest from the bellman. I didn't realize the bellman wrote down how many bags you bring in. That's interesting. Hmm. Never thought of that. Of how many bags. So I informed him of that information earlier in the night. So I guess because I did that, he came in and said, hey, let's go. He's got stuck. So I actually left property around 8:30, 8:45. Anything else? No, that's it. Anything further I can think of? Let's see. Okay, perfect. Okay. All right. Shit. How many fucking pages I got left? Because I really don't want to go an hour and a half on this thing. See, we're on 109, 129. All right. Fuck it. Let's do another. Let's finish this out. Take the Hodson again, man. This guy's, man, I like this guy. Let's see, also present, Agent McCamey, Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino Counselor. That what you call him? Let's see, conduct tape to currently conducted Mandalay Bay Hotel. Okay. So why was that guy at the Vidara? Why is this dude at the Vidara? Why are they hiding this guy out at the Vidara? What is that about? Reviewed 10/11. So yeah, they got this out pretty quick. Huh. That's interesting. Huh. Okay, well, this is Mandalay Bay. Let's see, tape statement with potential last name for me, about the date of birth, approximately. Let's go with 341. What's the date? What is the date here? Conducted in Mandalay Bay Hotel. What's the date? Let's see, 10/9. Okay. So it's the day before that last one. Let's see. It's been here almost 14 years. TB. Who's TB? It's not Truth Bomb. Who the fuck is TB? I can't remember the name. Let's see, 14 years. And what's actually working? Surveillance and security. All right, here's another one. Okay, were you working October 1st, 2017? No. Oh, well, just took that. Fucking, okay. Hear about the events, of course. Okay, and what were you made aware when you came into work that there was shooting? And it happened in Mallee Bay, here at Mallee Bay. At that time, that's all I knew. Let's see, but I did listen to part of the news that was about it. And then when I came into work, nothing really said about it. Any much detail about it anyway. Okay, and what day was it? Came back to work the second, which was a Monday, and that was I finally got here around 9ish, maybe 9:15 or so. Okay, a.m. And when you came in, what were you tasked with doing for the day? The cameras. That was my first. My first priority was checking as far as if security could see any cameras. So my main concern was usually we have the roof cameras that are typically always to lose audio. So I proceeded to go check on the cameras in our Pelco system, and one of the roof cameras were out at the time. Okay, and what describe to me what Pelco system? Pelco system is what our analog cameras are on. So security has a keyboard in front of their stations that they call up certain camera numbers, and they can view on their monitor. Okay, I get that. So I took the initiative to see if there's any out, and there was, and it happened to be one of the ones on the roof that I consider vital for our security to see, and it happened to be out. Let's see, and so which end of the towers would that be on? It faces west. Okay. No, sorry, it faces east. Yeah, it faces east, which happened to be the front. So I wanted to make sure, in case security needed some footage, those cameras were up and running. Okay, so you fix the camera, fix that camera, then yes. Okay, and what'd you do after that? Came back down and checked I went through the list to see if there's any more of any other cameras. Is vital considering what happened. Okay, so. And then, so you worked on the camera stuff for a while, and then what did you do after that? And then I started. Forgot what else I did. I was working on actually some stuff. God, what was I working on those? I started doing DVR checks as far as recording. Okay, and everything was up and running except one at our mall. So yeah, I was checking the DVs. So making sure that they were all fine and everything looked fine as far as recording went on all the DVRs. And and then after that, which is a pretty big list, about 60 DVRs we have to check, 30 to about 60. Okay, so it took a while, yeah. Did you start working on some time frames with reference to the radio system? Yeah, I just started looking at it to see if there's any recording, and which would have been very helpful. So I did on Monday, and but didn't really look at it. I just see if there was any recording. So and later I did see if there was some for this incident. Okay. So first I checked engineering's. And there was a couple of transmissions saying that the shooting happened and all that. All right. So they record radio traffic. Huh. So, like, okay, all right. So then I think then we went home. Then I went home. So that was, I think I stayed till 1 o'clock. because it was a very short day. Because like I came in around 9:30 because the place was still locked down. When I finally got in, almost 9 o'clock. So I ended up going home by 1 o'clock. Okay. So the next day, Tuesday morning, my normal routine: check, make sure DVR is still online in our Honeywell. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, Honeywell. All right. That was still on to check online, and I let Redacted know the day before about that we might have some audio coverage, but I didn't go through to check it thoroughly. Okay, and who is whatever? This is a supervisor. Okay, so you checked. You informed that you checked some audio. Yeah, but didn't really go into an extensive check. Okay, until Tuesday. So when I found some audio recording on for engineering on Monday, then Tuesday, I knew they're going to probably want some evidence. So, but I've never been able to actually record on a disc because it was something that we just never did. It was just on the actual device itself. Makes sense, I guess. It's weird they record all radio traffic. It's kind of creepy. So I got contacted by, Redacted. Let me know that Redacted was interested in these recordings. So is it Rouse? Or is it? Yeah, probably Rouse. So that's when I actually further started going into it to see if there was any more on the engineering side recording. So then I check. When I check security, that's when I found the crucial stuff. So then I didn't know how to download it exactly onto a disk because what it does is it's a unit. It burns onto its own disk. All right. It's like a redundant default in a way. It's got the hard drive, and then it records to a disk. But I've never actually printed onto a disk to give to like the investigators or so before. Apparently, someone wasn't around during the Napster era. Let's see. So when I started checking, I told Redacted about that. I said I've never actually burned it to a disk before. So, and I tried to find the PDF files on how to do it. And they let Redacted know. I had a tech call me. He's been here before to actually rebuild the system because it crashed about a couple of years ago. So I asked him some questions like, "Hey, how do I retrieve these videos and put it onto a disk?" Multiple segments, and because I tried a couple of segments first, and it only play 1 out of the 8. Okay. And so I was doing something wrong as far as, so he said, "I'll send you the manual, read through the manual. If you still need help, give me a call back. I'll help you with it." What the fuck? Here's a manual. Figure it out, fucker. Let's see. So that was around 8 o'clock or so, that he called me because, yeah, at 8:07, because he starts at 8 o'clock. So when I asked him that, all that, he emailed me the PDF file. So I read through the whole thing, maybe 30, 40 minutes. And the part that I needed the most, how to record it onto the disc. So then I tested it with some of the segments that I loaded to the software. So there's a session where you would retrieve it, like to see, to search or browse. So I did. I was like, okay. So let me try this once again. I tried it and it didn't burn correctly. It only played 1 out of the 8. Okay. So I kept doing it. Then what the heck's going on? Maybe I misread. So I learned as I went on, as I went. So then I finally got to do it. What I wanted to do. God, these people and their broken ass English. I burned all 8 segments and it played it continually. So you wouldn't have to click on it again to play the next one, because when I finally did it, would play just one continually. It wouldn't. I'm sorry. That's not right. What the fuck? Because he was telling me So you're talking about like each radio transmission. Yeah. Like the 8 I did download, it would just play one and stop. So I would press play again, then it would go to the next one. Okay. Then from what I read, it would say that you can do it continually as one file, so it just loops, like just it just plays, it plays, it plays. So you don't have to. So you don't have to constantly. Okay. So I couldn't figure out. Let's see that part out yet when I downloaded it. So then when burned some more discs, didn't work because it was just playing the one. And then I figured it out that I had that I had to group it and then drag it over to my desktop too. Then copy it from my desktop. So then it played continually, so I got it to work. So when I figure part out, when I figure part out, then I started looking into security to see. Then I found some. Then I found some more. Then I found more. Said, "Oh, Jesus, Napster was the shit, dude. Fucking love Napster, Napster and LimeWire." Let's see. Then I want to see how far it went. As far as do I need to make sure we see it? We have it past midnight for the next day. Also, I got to remember, I got to go back on that last one because that last one, there was something at the beginning there that I wanted to sort out. So let's see. So I pretty much sat at my desk, did all that. So it was okay. So probably around about till 9 o'clock or so that morning, the third that I downloaded it all, grouped it. Oh, shit. Wrong button. So then I tried to burn that. I was having issues with that one. Same thing. It played only one file. Okay, not good. All right. So I read the manual again. Try and okay, I did this one. Why can't I do this one? Maybe it's too big. So I grouped it smaller. The critical part still wouldn't burn. It burned just that part, but it wouldn't play like I wanted it to play. So okay, that's not good. So then I kind of just had to. For me, if I get frustrated as far as like technical, I just kind of like walk away. Maybe just get a fresh memory. So okay, let me go drink my coffee. Let me go do something. Maybe I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes. When I went to the restroom, came back, and then all right, let's try this again. So got it. I finally got it to work. So then I went to grab all as much as I can and put it on the disc. So before I did that, I went to the actual digital recorder, the audio recorder. Let's see. And because I had a warning that it was full, okay, so I went to the audio recorder and then there was a warning saying disk is full. So it stops loading it to that disk. It saves on the hard drive, but it won't continue loading it onto that disk until I put another disk. Then okay, so it's just back up to the hard drive. Is that essentially what it is? Yeah, and it's encrypted because I guess because it won't play without the software. Okay, because I was redacted about that, and he said, "No, that's encrypted. You need to whatever files you're going to copy, you need to put it into a disk, which will be a WAV file." So when I went there, and then that's when I noticed that the time was a bit off. So I didn't realize it. Okay, so time is off, but I thought this is video. This is actually audio. So I didn't realize that, how much it was off. And then to when I looked on the Pelco, that's where it's like about 20 or 30 minutes roughly. Huh. All right. So yeah, I don't know if he's saying the Pelco system's actually correct or if this thing's actually correct and the Pelco system's fucked up. I don't know which is fucked up there. That's a problem. So when I put the disc in, it started syncing back to when at that when it stopped. to load on the disk, which I would want to say August. So then it's got to catch up, and so I normally assume it would catch up with time. So I just let it on there or so. What the fuck, dude? And loaded it, and it takes a while for it to finally catch up, I guess, from what I saw. So then that's back. Went back to my desk and just kind of waited for a bit to see. So then that's when I did further research and finding more audio clips for the next day or so. Um, okay, so you notice time's off now. Yeah, on these recordings, audio recordings. Yeah, okay, so time's off in the audio. So what did you do about the time? I corrected it to our Pelco system, which has a stamped time. Okay. Did anyone give you instructions to do that? No. Okay. Is it something you just decide to do on your own to do? Yeah. Okay. Because it's normally, if something's off, got to correct it right away. So there's no problem as far as discrepancies. You know what I mean? Time frame or so. Okay. And when you corrected the time, what happened in the time frame? What was recorded? It started syncing. Mm-hmm. So it started putting all audio recording onto that disc. Okay, do you remember the times from what the original or so even though it would have been off, what was the timestamp? For example, with the radio transmission that occurred up in the hallway. Well, it said it showed it was off. It showed it as 10 from when I read it or heard it, and the timestamp I think showed it around 10:38. The first call was the engineering from our dispatch, so I think it was like 10:38 or 10:33 according to the timestamp. Okay, so the audio's off. Pelco's fine. Audio's off. Um, okay. I was given I was giving fucking Turber's buddy some shit about that. Man, when you see their last little live stream, they're talking trash uh, about that. And that dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And then, yeah, that was the first call because they were trying to find out what room the suspect was in. All they knew was in the 100 wing, and our dispatch asked him what's the room number, and he said he can't because he is being shot at. All right. Well, there's Shuck admitting to being shot at. Okay, so then at what time? At that time, then so you have those timestamps that are essentially off essentially. Let's see, the 22:38 time would have been off, correct? That'd been yeah, but I didn't know what time the actual blah blah blah. So I'm actually assuming 10:38 was the first call from our dispatch to him, and said, "Oh, something happened on that time." Okay, now when the time resynced to the correct time, did it change timestamp in the audio recording? That on the audio recorder itself, yes, because I had to physically change. So you'll see at the top right hand corner of the actual unit that it changed. And see, since you're in here, if the thing is, like I've shown this before, uh, when you're talking about the times on the video, you know, that the MGM handed out, the one thing that a lot of people I don't think realize is that those pictures are actually zoomed in. Those videos are actually zoomed in. They're not the actual video image, you know, in its complete form. They zoom in on them. When they zoom in on them, they lose the fucking timestamp because it's always in the corner. It's always at the bottom. So they always lose a timestamp. So the only time you're going to see a timestamp is when it's the actual footage. But when it's not the actual footage and they're zooming in on something, the first thing it goes is that fucking timestamp. So, you know, there's that. Let's see. But as far as is it syncing with that actual segment? I assume it naturally would have, but I don't know. And when you play it on a disc, so okay. So you said this is the first time you've ever had an incident where you recorded audio recordings, And when it's come to in relation to a criminal investigation, is that correct? Yes. Okay. Do you guys have protocol for that type of thing? Is there a policy or anything that you guys abide by on, like, when you guys are starting to download things, it would be considered evidence as far as the company's concerned? No, we don't. Okay. I mean, as far as I know, no, we don't. Is this something that you notify your supervisor about? Yeah. Okay. I'm sure they all talk to their supervisors. Let's see. I mean, if I didn't really think about it because I didn't know the time was off on there. So I checked that morning and then, like, oh, it's off. So then I didn't really say anything to my boss about it because I didn't know what time. I thought about it, like, so if that time, um, so what time was the action? I never heard anything about the actual time. If I did, then I would have mentioned it to my boss right away. Hey, let you know the auto recording's off because the actual time machine was this. So I had no, I assumed it was around 10:30, 10:50, based on what I heard, that the time the shooting was. Okay. And so you changed times and you burned audio, did this. I grabbed more segments because I only did like maybe up to midnight, but I wanted to see. I assumed there would be more critical stuff afterwards. So, like, I looked further into it, and I think grabbing like up until 9 o'clock the next morning, when everything kind of died down from what I can hear. So I grabbed it up to there. Then I started. Then I made a copy. Then I gave it to the investigator. They said part of that. He was the engineering copy. He said the engineering copy was fine, but the security side, he said, halfway it cut out and it stopped. Said, okay, all right. When I get a chance, let me see what I could do, see what happened. There are sometimes some of the segments got corrupted, so I'm assuming that's what happened when I grabbed more files. Let's see. There might have been some that were corrupted, so I didn't. It stopped. It stopped it right there. So then I burned another one with more of the longer segments, and then gave it to the investigator day before yesterday. Okay. So I'm assuming he never got back to me and say, "Hey, it still didn't work." So I assumed it worked, and then that's when, then yesterday or this morning, that's when I found about the for sure that the time was off because I still didn't know exactly what time the shooting was. Okay, so the way it saves to the hard drive now, it's the time should be correct. Yeah, it should be. It is correct from when I changed it. From when you changed it, okay, yeah, to make it correct because we don't check it at the time. So did you manually have to change the time? Yes, at the actual machine. Okay, so for example, so if it's 10:38, what was the time difference that you thought it was supposed to have changed to? When I looked at Pelco, which was also right there on our wall monitor, it was about 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes ahead because I had moved it. So the 22:38 hours it would have been, survey says, 23 minutes faster than what the actual recording would have been. Yeah, it would have been. If it was 22:38, would have been 10:15 to 10:20 or so, 10:10 roughly. I thought you said 23 minutes. So that would have been what, 10:15? Okay. Did you try to get that as accurate as possible, or do you just kind of, yeah, I tried. Um, all or a little bit, or no, I tried to get exactly 2 seconds for our Pelco system so I can see it. Our wall monitor right there, and then so I'm going to adjust the time to make it as close to accurate to that, so it's both okay in sync with each other. And when you said in broke it up in seconds, so you have to change each individual segment? No, to the time, or just from the on the unit itself, you just change the time to where it's the whole system, that audio system. Segments were like it. How the segments are made is by each radio transmission. So They are typically so they're usually typically 8 seconds to 15 seconds. And then, so with what happened, of course, the transmission's longer to 20 to 40 seconds, of what happened and stuff. So those are each segment of radio transmission. Oh, Jesus. Just being kind of naive in the whole thing. That would cause the hard drive not to be in sync with the Pelco. Let's see, the units. Let's see, being technology. It's if you don't routinely maintain it, look at it. What usually happens, we used to have Muxus. They're a 16 channel recording. I'm sure you've seen videos from it. Looks like tick tick. Well, I think it used to be a weekly check on those because by the end of the week they were usually 2-3 minutes off. Okay, or 4 or 5 minutes depending. So I'm assuming because this has happened, this is not the only time. This has happened numerous times on that audio recorder, but I usually don't check it unless they want me to. So this time is about 30, 40, 20, 30 minutes off. So it had been a couple months the last I checked because when I put the new disc into load, that it loads all the audio on. Usually I'm able to store on the disc 2 months of recording. That's 24 hours recording. So when I put the new one it started from August. So now it's got to catch up to October. So he's making backups. All right. So it takes a little bit for it to load up, all on there. So that was probably the last time I checked it. This explains why if you don't check it periodically, time gets to the point where it is usually happens because I'm usually off by a couple seconds. You can't, without a software to sync everything to the main server. That's the main net sync. So that one is not. So our whole system, because we have issues with that, to connecting to one specific server, to have all the other machines sync 100%. Okay, so our whole system, because we have issues with that, to connecting to one specific server to have all other machines sync. So is he saying that the Pelco system is sometimes off? I mean, are we saying that shit is out of whack, out of sync occasionally? Okay. One quick question. How many copies you burned of that? I only burned one, and I gave it to the investigators. You said you burned two because the first one didn't work. Okay, and where were they? Like these investigators are investigators. So he gave it to the investigators of the Mandalay Bay. Oh, okay. Because the first copy wasn't good because he said it cut out halfway. So then that's what I that's that it, so that's I did something wrong. I must have did something wrong. So when I did reburn, I gave it to him 2 days ago, and that must have been a good copy because he didn't call me back. Let's see, okay, and then this cop listened to it, or whoever AE is. That's I think that's the Mandalay Bay agent. It's with them. Okay, cool. We'll go ahead and wrap this interview up. Blah blah blah. Okay, so that's the end of this one. Fuck, there was something with the one before this I wanted to look at. Can't remember what the fuck it was, but I know it was right at the beginning. And I'm going long. I don't want to go this long in this video. This is TV. Come on. Shit together. This starts on page 9, I think. Okay, this is the end of the other one. All right, here we go. Where's the front? Where's the header? There it is. All right, let's see what we got here. Again, this dude, I mean, this is weird, man. Since you're sitting here listening to this, man, I'm gonna tell you that, this is weird that this is at the Vidara. This dude works for Mandalay Bay, and they have him at the Vidara. Not sure what's going on there. That's very strange. And he's employed at the Mandalay Bay. It says right there. Okay, so let's see. What did he say? So hot sauce system comes up as computer. Okay, so he's let's see. My position was actually on the hot sauce position as security dispatcher. You want me to elaborate on hot sauce? So hot sauce is a system that comes up on the computer if the door is ajar for a hotel guest room. Some officers call the guests to notify them. This is security dispatch. Just want to let you know the door's ajar. Can you please check it? A lot of times the latch doesn't click. You can't push it if no one. Think they call Paddock? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know where the FBI was during all this madness. I'm not sure, but it's possible, I guess. I don't remember where was Campos stuck at. It wasn't the Vidara, was it? I don't remember. He was at one of those fucking hotels. Might have been the Vidar. Well, the Vidar is the one with the death ray. Yeah, I can't remember which hotel they put Campos at. It was one of those short ones there in the middle of the strip. Anyway, so this is interesting, right? Because he says some officers call the guests to notify them this is security dispatch. Just want to let you know your door's ajar. Can you please check it? So I don't know. See, like after reading through this, I'm wondering if since he's technically the Aria. That's right, Aria. So it wasn't the Vidara. So you might be right. Let's see if the FBI was even here. I don't think they were. I think the FBI was supposed to be there on this one. The interview has been conducted inside. Let's see. Hodson conducting tape statements be conducted. Yeah, conducting tape statement with this person. Also present for the interview is okay. Yeah, there is somebody there with an A in their fucking name. MGM, some MGM person. Let's see. It says also who else should be involved in the interview would be Agent McCamey from the FBI, who's unable to attend. So I don't know who these other people are. But yeah, you might be right. Maybe that's what's going on here. They called him up there. But this is interesting to me because could somebody have called like Paddock's room? I mean, I know he had that thing saying unplugged phones, but I don't know if that meant like cell phones or if that meant like the actual phones in the room. But yeah, I'm really not sure. But that's interesting because and he's saying some officers actually call the guests to notify them this is security dispatch. So this guy would have been the guy that should have called Paddock on the phone to see if tell him, hey, your door's open, and that would be interesting. No, I think you're right. I think it was the Aria. I think you're absolutely right. I think the Aria was where Campos was planted for weeks. Yeah, it's interesting because he says that they're supposed to call up there. Well, he says that some officers actually call, and I would think that would be the more efficient thing to do. I think it's stupid to send a security guard up there if you don't have to, but that's interesting. This whole thing, like with this guy's funny because this guy explains how I said there is no actual setup system for the hot sauce system. There is no actual like rigid, policy for how they do things. But the this guy explains how he thinks it should be done because there is no policy. So he's actually going off of what he believes is the way to actually do it. And then later in the interview, he goes back and says how he actually does it, which is not how he's saying it should be done. So it's kind of interesting. It's actually a very interesting interview to explain how the hot sauce actually works with these guys. Because realistically, it sounds like it's just a bolt on, don't give a fuck. We just got to have this for, the purposes of insurance and stuff like that. But it really sounds like the hot sauce system is something they don't give a fuck about. And when I went there, I left the door open, or we left the door open for it was 2 hours and 10 minutes, and nobody ever bothered us. This guy says that after, and he says that he doesn't even know, like, he doesn't know much about the system itself. He's just a phone jockey, but he says that after an hour, so he doesn't know what the timing is as far as how long the door's open. He says he's heard that it could be anywhere from a couple minutes to an hour, um, but he doesn't know, and he doesn't have a way to change it apparently because he doesn't even fucking know. So he doesn't know what the time frame is on the hot sauce, how long it takes for a door to be open to actually trigger this alarm. And all he knows is that he gets the alarms, and which, I mean, to me is kind of stupid. That sounds like, yeah, we just don't give a fuck. But he doesn't have that fucking information on hand, so he doesn't know how long that fucking takes. After an hour of that being on his system, of it saying that there's an alarm, after an hour of that, it notifies his supervisor. After 2 hours, it notifies all floor supervisors who are set up with the system. And then after 3 hours, it sends a email to corporate saying, "Hey, something's fucking wrong here." So his job basically, the way he describes it to me, it sounds like basically he just wants to avoid that hour. So he wants to knock these down before the hour's up. And that's why, these guys, and he doesn't say this in the beginning, he says something completely fucking different. And then later he kind of elaborates on how he does things, or I think he says a lot of some officers. And the cop even tells him, hey, nobody's in trouble here, so you can be honest, right? So, I think even the officer's smart enough. This Hodson seems like a very smart, investigator. So it sounds like this officer even understands that this guy's nervous. This guy thinks he's in trouble for doing something wrong. But that's why these guys, they get the call, they hand it off to security, and then they fucking delete it from their system, or they clear it out of their system so that it doesn't sit there and linger for an hour if your security guard's lazy and doesn't check the door within the hour. Then, because they just don't want to be bothered, they don't want to have managers calling them asking what the fuck's going on down there, stuff like that. So to me, it's interesting because it kind of lines a few things up. But anyway, yeah, I got to get in there, man. I got to go. So I didn't plan on being on this long, but I wanted to knock this thing out. So have a good night, man. See you on the next one. Stay safe out there.